Welcome to a game between Niarteloc, I think I'm just gonna call him Cole, versus Pootis. So here you can see Pootis starting with shield bots, and Cole starting with spiders. And you can see here that, um, Cole was asking for this replay, and yeah, he was basically gonna ask. He thinks this is factory RPS, and I sorta agree. But still, dealing with bandits on a big open map like this can be a little bit troublesome. You can see here that there is quite a bit of terrain that the regular bots can't move through. These are really deep cliffs, so while spiders might look really to be benefited by these cliffs initially, they take so much time climbing up and down these hills that quite a bit of the advantage of being spiders are taken away by these deep holes on this map. So you have to be careful with how you position your spiders. Like if you have some venoms up here on the high ground to protect, it will take them quite a while to go down. And here you can see the first engagement. And it looks like, Cole lost a few spiders there, not within the necessary. That's almost the same cost. He lost like 3 spiders there. And, oh, he's not gonna be able to catch that bandit. Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. You have to be careful with your micro. Like, if you let spider micro on its own, it will run away from the bandits at max range. And then, since a single venom won't actually stun lock the bandit, it can escape like that. Like, if he had killed this bandit first and then killed the other one, he would barely have lost a lot. He would have kept his venom alive, lost a bit of HP, but he could have repaired that after that. So, yeah, you have to be like attentive when you're using your spiders. Like you have to, if the raider is faster than your venom, yeah, you have to go well into range to keep the bandit in range so it doesn't run away when it gets unfrozen. So yeah, this looks like the first kill for Cole. So 2 Venoms scale decently against bandits, but bandits, if they get a good surround, like 3 bandits can easily kill a Venom, and even 2 bandits will damage the Venom heavily or even kill it outright if they get a good spread. Meanwhile, Cole wasn't able to get that economic at start, but he's expanded with his commander quite a bit. Oh, and this bandit just barely survived. That's good for Pootis. And you can see this is a wind map, so both players are doing the right thing by making wind. Even at this start position, which isn't the highest position on the map, it's still 0.8 or 0.9 minnow wind, so it's really good wind. So yeah, you should be making winds on this map. Maybe if you want to build a bit more safer, yeah, you could potentially build solars down here, if you don't want to have fragile winds. I prefer these starting positions as you start on the high ground, and you can start building winds directly compared to starting down here because it's lower ground, then you don't get as much income. And yeah, Pootis has a bit of defense here, and he's making a snitch. So yeah, that's a pretty good thing. Let's see how he handles this. Will he be able to get the snitch? Oh no, the snitch is running away. Can he get the other? Oh, I mean, that was a decent hit actually for Pootis. He just lost a few wins. He didn't lose any of his. Yeah, that was a good hit actually. He didn't lose his caretaker, just barely. So that was a good defensive snitch there. Could have gone much worse. So that raid quite didn't pay off for Cole. And yeah, do you have to be this defensive as spiders? I mean, if you don't have Venoms at the right position to defend against bandits, yeah, but I think this is a bit defensive. I guess you let one bandit slip by, so yes, you can't really work with that. So let's see here. Yeah, this is a precarious situation. If the bandits can spread out, they will defeat the Venoms here. So it's you have to be careful. Making some Lotus turrets behind this is pretty good. But you can see here that these bandits are basically slowing down the expansion of the spider player here. So yeah, you have to be attentive here, and you want to kind of bunch up your venoms so you can like focus fire down the bandits. Oh, and yeah, Pootis is really bunching up here, as you can see. And you also have to be careful not to get the bandits too close to the venoms, because then you might stun lock your own venoms and start hurting them. So that's so far a really good trade. He can continue to push on here if he wants to and kill these bandits, or he could go somewhere else or go back and repair. Jag är upptagen. So, and he goes in and finished one more bandit. Meanwhile, yeah, contesting the middle with spiders can be a bit problematic until you get the recluses. So, because venoms are kind of flimsy, like if you're facing off against a commander, venoms are kind of flimsy and will probably like, yeah, you will struggle to deal with Lotus turrets and a commander, and then reinforcing bandits or whatever that's coming. So here you can see the situation: a Venom loading against 4 bandits, and it managed to kill 2 because of not attention from Pootis, but yeah, it loses still anyway, even though it had kind of a good engagement initially. So yeah, Venoms will struggle alone against bandits because they get surrounded too easily. And this is barely working. Yeah, he's barely being able to kill a single Lotus turret there with 1 Venom and a Flea, so yeah. So that could turn out well for him, if he's paying a bit attention, but this Venom is out of position. Yeah, so he loses that Venom because he didn't see the incoming glaives. He has no radar coverage here. You can sort of use fleas against bandits. Well, I mean, you wouldn't use them against bandits, but you can kind of outmaneuver the bandits and try to harass if the enemy is light on defenses. But yeah, Pootis has been making quite a bit of Lotus turrets all across the map. But if you look in a position like this, for example, you could be harassing this position with fleas, and the enemy would have to respond with slow glaives. Yeah, so yeah, you're taking quite a bit of the map, and if we look here at the energy here, the total value, yeah, you're falling a bit behind, even though you killed a lot more. And now you have to contend with, that was another question of yours, how do you contend with stingers as shield bomb, as spiders? And that can be pretty hard, actually. Because trying to kill while the recluses basically counter the whole shield fact once you have enough, yeah, you will basically be countering the whole shield ball factory with just recluses, and maybe some venoms to kill bandits or redbacks to kill them. But I would also recommend that you, like these, even though you're not taking a lot of damage, you're taking some damage. And I would recommend that you set that your recluses retreat on like 60 or 30% automatically. You can set your retreat zone up here. You can place a retreat zone. Yeah. And you can place it on the map, and the recluses will automatically retreat to that and get repair if there's anything repair power next to it. It looks like Pootis is trying to do some raiding, not being too successful, while you're contesting his expansion over here. So that's pretty good. Meanwhile, yeah, you lost a recluse there, which was kind of necessary because, yeah, they're only taking an occasional hit, and the rogues are only taking an occasional hit from the recluses as well. So, yeah, there's another hit on recluse, and it's really low on percentage there. So yeah, having an auto retreat when they're low on health is pretty good. So you're raiding down here with Venoms. Venoms are basically, you can basically raid with them because, yeah, they're about the same speed as raiders. So when you check the speed of them, yeah, they're only 6 elmos per second slower than bandits. So yeah, basically raider speed. But they're a bit flimsy, so if they're going against their equal worth in Lotus turrets, they will lose. But they can easily overrun a few Lotus turrets and stun them. This is kind of a problem, which would easily be solved by a few recluses down here. Yeah. Meanwhile, oh, this is gonna be, you had some low health. Oh, and now you're stunning yourself. Okay, that was a good engagement from Pootis. That's how you easily can lose if you don't pay attention to your recluses, and some of them end up taking damage while your other recluse venoms are not dealing damage. So in this position, yeah, you're sending your recluses to deal with his shield ball. That's a good idea, I think. And you're still trading pretty well. Now you're equalized in value, and you have a crab out. Do I recommend a crab against shield ball? I think recluses are general enough, but if you want to deal with this stinger, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to get a crab. And you're even gonna raise it to be able to deal with this stinger here. You could also have gone on the high ground here, then you might not have been forced to make a... If you went on the high ground here, you could probably have placed the crab here and killed it without having to build a hill there. But on the other hand, now you're gonna have a pretty steadfast hold on the middle. Meanwhile, yeah, it looks like the dancing of the rogue is gonna let the enemy get the stinger up here. You could easily have killed that stinger before it went up if you had been had scouting and paying attention. So yeah, dancing rogue is basically gonna hold your you have to be careful. If there's an enemy like dancing rogue, it's gonna keep your recluse occupied for a long time, and you're not gonna deal a lot of damage. So you probably want, if you're facing like rogues, you probably want some fleas can be nice to have to distract the rogues and push them back, and you can also scout like what the enemy have behind stuff, like units like that. So having a few fleas all the time to be able to like send them in and scout to see where the enemy is at, so you don't overexpose your rogues, recluses, so they get overrun by bandits, can be pretty good. It takes a bit of attention though to always have some recluses. But yeah, the enemy has been expanding on this hill, and that's a really expensive, that's a really expensive, you can easily kill this. Although you're kind of running into the commander there, which is kind of sad. And you lost your venoms here to the shield bar here, can also be a bit risky. So the enemy has chosen to go for bombers, and ravens are a pretty good counter. Like a raven costs 300 metal, and the recluse costs 280 metal. So just from one bombing run, you almost made cost with the ravens, and then you get to keep them for like a long time. So this is a pretty good response here from Pootis. Combining that you lost your venoms down here against the shield ball. And yeah, being bombed, you're now behind in army value, or you're not quite behind in army value, but yeah, you lost a lot of your advantage. And now comes those lone few bandits, which are gonna push back your recluses, and you don't have any you don't have any venoms to push them back. And here your commander is caught out of position, and you're gonna lose your command for it. So that's kind of sad. If you had kept your venoms alive down here, yeah, you could have run back and tanked some damage with your commander and then kill them. Oh, you're running AA into bandits. That's not that good. So here you see a lone stinger. It killed how many? The shields helped here, and you can see the shields helped here to keep this stinger alive. And then you had like how many? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 recluses against a single stinger, and you lost 5 of them. So yeah, that's a really expensive trade. And you're also losing your AA. This is expensive AA. 380 for AA is really expensive. That's one of the problems that spiders have as well. That's why an air switch is even better, because not only can you kill recluses really cost effectively, you can also the AA is really expensive and slow, so you can even bomb it for cost with bombers. You just need 2 bombers to bomb it. And yeah, it can be quite easy to suppress the enemy with air. Meanwhile, you haven't been, yeah, you're kind of sending out some, I'm setting the speed to low here, and some bandits are cleaning out that last recluse. Um, these recluses should deal with this shield ball, it's pretty low, and the felon is dead, so yeah. But yeah, now you lost a lot of momentum, and you had a really good like damage value kill advantage, but you lost all that kind of like spreading out too much and not like paying attention at the right places at the right time. You're gonna try to... A crab is decent in this situation because it's hard to bomb. So yeah, you can kind of like, if you repair it and set it on a spy like this, yeah, you can kind of creep forward. But it looks like, yeah, you're just out of range of that stinger. Yeah. Also, a potential counter to the crab advance is actually racketeers. Like if you have one or two, if you have like two racketeers and some line of sight or radar on top to the crab, yeah, you're gonna be able to disarm it basically. Yeah. Meanwhile, let's see here, 4 bandits against 2 turrets. Yeah, but then he's creeping forward with the stinger there. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And meanwhile, your recluses here are taking their time to actually deal with these units, because yeah, recluses are good mass, but against lone target they tend to miss quite a lot, especially if it's like a dancing unit. And yeah, you should be in range of that stinger now, but it might be too little too late. The enemy also finished his stinger. So we look at the total value here. You can we can look here at the total value here. You can see that the enemy is quite far ahead by now. Now we can see that the racketeers have disarmed this crab on the hill. Meanwhile, the enemy is being allowed to expand here, and yeah. I could recommend using what do you call them? I could recommend using Fleece or harass position, but that's quite a bit of extra like attention that you might not have to spare. So yeah, and you could see here in the end that the crab actually got countered by the racketeers. So crab is decent against shield bots if you have like the momentum and just keep pushing forward and have some more units like recluses or other crabs, or like, yeah, and you can keep pushing. Like imagine if you were a bit more even on value and had the crab situated here, and then you push in with like venoms or redbacks and recluses here, or yeah, then the enemy is not going to be able to keep that crab disarmed. And then if the enemy pushes you back with something, with redbacks or rogue or shield ball, you can just retreat and the crab will not be disarmed. So I wouldn't say that the crab is a bad way to deal with shield balls, but it's like if it gets all lonely, it can be disarmed, which Pootis did pretty well. But if we look at the turning point of the game was basically when you spread out too thin. You can see you losing your commander like here. So that was basically when you spread out too thin. And another turning point was the enemy. They got this stinger up, which managed to kill almost all of your recluse force here. So that's a thing. Like stingers are pretty hard to deal with for what do you call them, for spiders, because yeah, Fleas are a good counter, but yeah, just a few Lotus turrets or a few raiders will counter that. So you can't rely on fleas to kill stingers. Potentially could stun them, but yeah, that's not also. It can be worth it if you have recluses behind to stun it with a widow, but that's not always reliable because the enemy might have a line of bandits in front of it, and it might not be easy to even stun the stinger with a shield ball, with a widow. Uh, Keeping up the flea rating is good because then you will also spot if the enemy is trying to build stings like this. If you had a few fleas and saw this stinger going up and had attention, you could have just targeted. It was just one little rogue standing here holding your recluses back. So if you had just seen that, you could just have with like fleas or venoms or something, you could have just sent in your recluses and killed the stinger before it went up, and this whole area would have fell and you could have focused on the shield ball much earlier. You let the shield ball, like you had like 6-7 recluses here, and you let the shield ball slip by and start hurting your base over here. That was pretty bad. And then it's easy, like venoms are flimsy. Like if you mismanage, you had like 4 venoms here, and then you just walked down here with the shield ball and it fell, and you lost for venoms that could have retreated. Yeah, that's 800 value that you lost, and then you lost your, and because of that you lost your commander, which was here, because you didn't have anything to back up your commander with. Like if you, in that situation, you could have, like if you had kept your 4 venoms alive, you could have tanked with the engineer commander, and when the and about just about the time that enemy Felon is running dry, you can run in with venoms and counter it. So yeah. And then this air switch kind of paid off. Like, yeah, you didn't have AA out, and the enemy uh, kind of bomb your recluses, and enemy didn't quite overcommit into their airs. So yeah, that's pretty good, because with air you can start bombing widows. I mean, ban recluses across the map and make a lot of value. So yeah, but yeah, since this bomber change, Ravens can't really bomb Venoms, so they can't really bomb Venoms. So Venoms are still good against that. Redbacks can hit air, like they can hit Ravens pretty decently. So having some Redbacks in your army is pretty good, while Venoms struggle to hit air. So then the question is, should you rely on Spider AA or should you go your own air? Generally, I would recommend, if you want to. It depends on how the fight is going. Like in this situation, we're like fighting on 3 fronts. You were fighting in the middle. You had a crab there, which wouldn't be too badly hurt by bombers, but you had this flank and you had this flank with could easily have been bombed. So, and you were going here with no AA cover and killing this hill. So yeah, it depends. I would generally recommend going air rather than making spider AA, but it depends on the situation. Like their spider A is slow and expensive, and it's easy to lose them. You can even get bombed if you just have a few of them. So yeah, I wouldn't generally not recommend making spider A. It depends on the situation. Uh, yeah. So yeah. So try to get stingers before they're getting built. If you can't get them before they get built, uh, make sure you have enough recluses to overrun them, or like stun it with a widow before you go in. A crab, even if even if the enemy is shield boss, you can use a crab because a crab on a spire is a good defense. But if you leave the crab without support against shield bots, it can easily be killed by racketeers. But if you have the momentum and keep pushing on, you can like force away the racketeers with recluses or redbacks or venoms, and then it's a good fallback point, or even, and then you can make another spire next to the enemy base. So yeah, if you had a bit more value here, you could probably have pushed into the enemy base. But yeah, the enemy could also have bombed your recluses or redbacks with the Ravens. So yeah, it depends. But yeah, those are my tips for you. Good luck and have fun.